That's because my mouth, the way my mouth was. That's because the way my mouth was yesterday. Alright, alright. Can you cut it in half for me? Or into squares? 4 squares. Okay.
Okay, go ahead and put that down.
I don't know.
Sit back. see, that's the thing. Yeah. Come.
See ya.
Hold on, Joe.
Hey, Mr. Pop. Hey. Good.
The world of comic books is filled with superheroes, feats of bravery, and alien invaders. With readers clamoring to see characters who resemble themselves, we'll hear from a fan about diversity in the media. Plus, a student story about obsessing over comic books and love. On the Record, Friday at 9:30 on 88.1 WYPR.
Then stay tuned at 10 for On Point to the weekly news roundtable with a look behind the week's top headlines from President Trump's speech to the UN to the damage caused by Hurricane Maria. Today's programming is made possible by Chingy Alley, where they're now helping plan holiday parties. Chingy Alley offers multiple venues for private events, business dinners, cocktail parties, wedding receptions, or just gathering together over food and wine. Information and reservations at cgeno.com. Mid-80s highs today under sunny skies. Lower 60s lows tonight. Mostly clear tonight. It's 73 degrees in Baltimore at 7:33.
Support for NPR comes from this station and from Amazon Studios, presenting the new comedy Brad Status, starring Ben Stiller, Jenna Fisher, Luke Wilson, and Michael Sheen. Written and directed by Mike White. Now playing. From State Farm, committed to offering tools and education resources to help Americans better understand their finances and take control of their money. Learn more here to help life go right. And from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation at gatesfoundation.org.
This is Morning Edition from NPR News. I'm David Green in Culver City, California.
And I'm Rachel Martin in Germany, where we have been talking about David voters getting ready to go to the polls in national elections here on Sunday. Chancellor Angela Merkel and her party feel confident that they're going to give Merkel a fourth term in office. But the big story here is about the rise of a right-wing party, DC's short alternative.
Which is a narrative, of course, we've seen in other countries in Europe, and it sounds like it's happening there in Germany, you're finding.
Yeah, similar populist movements have been doing well across Europe. This party is expected seats in parliament, which would be the first time in post-war history that a party with this kind of German nationalist platform would secure kind of representation. And with it will come a legitimate platform, raising control, including a guy we met in a Berlin suburb, in a bookstore on this quaint.
We can order them in titles. Und Herr Chairman, Herr Grandpass of every age.
Last December, Osterman held an event at his bookstore. It was a conversation about how to combat the Germany. What he finds so concerning about the AfD.
I think it's a
Racial party.
yes. Population, yes. And they talk like Nazis, some of them, and I think that's not good.
This is the fear that always seems to loom under the surface here. On the one hand, the atrocities of World War II feel so long ago. So much has changed. Germany is now a thriving democracy. Angela Merkel, the de facto leader of Europe and champion of liberal democratic values and human rights. At the same time, the history can feel so present, and Nazi ideas still inspire new generations.
My name is Christian Ernst Weisgerber. I'm 28 years old. I am a former neo-Nazi.
It was less than a decade ago that Christian Weisgerber was leading a neo-Nazi youth organization. I recently spoke to him on Skype, and he told me what drew him to the movement in the first place.
So for me, this was an immense fascination with the symbols, with the form of behavior of Nazism, the militarization, the strictness in that form of society, the kind of structural anti-Semitism which worked in my youth, so that you could just portray every problem of society to another group, which is the enemy. So the belief is that naturally the Aryans are the superior race, or the white race is superior to every other race.
Christian's mom left when he was just a baby, and his father was physically abusive. Christian was looking for an out, a way to change his lot in life, and he found that in the neo-Nazi movement.
I wanted to build a society in which a family like the one in which I had to grow up would not be possible anymore. So I thought that this could be a society where you have this kind of Volksgemeinschaft, or this kind of organic body of people that works together just fine, and you have the state that helps families, and at the same time family state in every way that they can.
A friend of a friend put him in touch with an organization, but he quickly got frustrated.
They were not really good at anything, and they spent most of the time playing with their clan in World of Warcraft and in the German uniforms of Call of Duty. So this one was really not the way I thought we could instigate or install the coming Fourth Reich. So for me, the point was to say I have to start my own youth organization, because otherwise nothing will happen here.
Can I ask what physical markers you used to identify in the group? I mean, did you have uniforms? Did you shave your head? Was there a tattoo that indicated membership?
No, I was never bald-headed in my life. Of course, there were the so-called normal symbols, like a black sun, like a Thor's hammer, or things like that. And then we have this kind of not-so-secretive handshake that is also used by the Romans, where you touch the underpart of the arm of the other person.
Christian liked it was this brotherhood where he felt a sense of belonging. Again, there wasn't enough action for him. There wasn't even enough talk about it. So he left. Not because he was disillusioned with extremist Nazi ideas, but because, at least in this particular group, they weren't extreme enough. Once he was on the outside, and his ideas about the world started to change.
Yeah, that's hard to explain, because also that's not for every bit of violence that is committed to groups, and this is something that kind of drives me to say waiting for German and European traditions and so on. So are pretty effective.
Into German society, but there are concerns that far-right parties are basically using this movement to play to the darkest parts of Germany's history.
All right, it's just a reminder that an election is I mean, it's one event, but it can tell so much about a country, and I know you'll be there to cover a lot of these themes. That's my colleague Rachel Martin. She is there in Germany covering the run-up to these national elections on Sunday, and you can follow all of her reporting here and also at npr.org and also at the NPR Tumblr page.
You're listening to your NPR News station, 88.1 WYPR. It's Friday, the 22nd of September, and it's 7:41. Time for traffic. Here's Rob Siegel.
Thank you, Nathan. The update brought to you with the service of the American Red Cross, LA region. Outer loop of the Beltway Jam, Route 1 over to Perry Parkway, Baltimore National Pike. A bit of a delay from 795 over to GFX, the south side of the Beltway.
For girls, 4-year STEM and fine arts programs. Get information for their Honda Model U Civics Accords. Honda Anderson Honda. Clear night. Temperatures in the lower 60s tonight.
The end with 50 votes.
The proposal is the most far-reaching of any of the it would repeal key pillars of Obamacare, the individual mandate and subsidies that help individuals buy insurance. It loosens Obamacare's federal regulations affecting people with pre-existing conditions, and it would reshape the Medicaid program from an open-ended federal guarantee to a cap system in which states receive more limited funds.
The family of a Syrian activist and her daughter are mourning their deaths in Turkey. NPR's Peter Kenyon says the two were found stabbed to death in their apartment in Istanbul.
On social media, family members shared their grief over the murders, with some accusing the Syrian regime of being behind it. Turkish and regional media report police found the bodies in the Üsküdar neighborhood of Istanbul. Aruba Barrack had documented atrocities by the Syrian regime. Worked for the opposition Orient News.
I'm Dave Mattingly, NPR News in Washington.
And broadcasting from Baltimore, this is your NPR News station, 88.1 WYPR. I'm Nathan Sterner. Advocacy group Blue Water Baltimore is calling for a federal judge to reject a consent agreement that would lead to a $1.6 billion upgrade of Baltimore's sewer system. At issue, a provision of that agreement that says water quality data cannot be used to force Baltimore to do any work that's not laid out in the agreement. The Baltimore Sun reports that Blue Water Baltimore wants that clause removed. The group says it's, quote, bad policy, bad science, and in conflict with both the Clean Water Act and the public interest. Blue Water Baltimore officials say that they are otherwise pleased with the plan. House Speaker Michael Bush says he has no plans to give up his leadership post. Bush tells the Washington Post that he fully intends to preside over the House of Delegates next year. Bush recently returned to Annapolis after undergoing a liver transplant. He's been Speaker since 2003, making him Maryland's longest-serving leader of